Well, hey everyone, it's Chris DeFurio with Keys to the Shop, and welcome to another edition of Shift Break. Today's episode is brought to you by La Marzocco, making espresso machines by hand in Florence, Italy since 1927. Their espresso machines are the foundational machine, one of the foundational machines in the coffee industry. Almost 100 years of serving retailers with innovation, beauty, dependability. La Marzocco has an espresso machine to fit your style, whether you want something manual like the Leva, or you want something a little bit more automated like the KB90 machines like the Linea PB, one of my personal favorite espresso machines to recommend to clients. But there is a La Marzocco espresso machine that will fit your cafe perfectly. All you need to do is email info@lamarzocousa.com and just start a conversation with them. They will invest into helping you find what the right machine is, the best equipment for your cafe. This is the heartbeat of your business, and it deserves a lot of attention, and the kind of attention that La Marzocco pays to their customers leads the pack. So if you are interested in getting your first espresso machine or an upgrade in the machine you're using, or another espresso machine for your expansion, go ahead and check out lamarzocousa.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by Rattleware. At rattleware.com, they want to be behind the scenes helping you set the stage for your customers. Consistent enjoyment of your coffee. That comes through lots of little things. Little things mainly like small wares, things like pitchers and whisks and shot glasses and knock boxes and everywhere in between. Rattleware just works. That's what they want. They want you to depend on them so that it all just kind of works together seamlessly. If you're in the market for small wares and you're wondering where to go, then you should definitely check out rattleware.com. Okay, everyone. Well, today I wanted to talk to you about growth. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is there is a thought that I had talking to somebody just about 15 minutes ago about growth. And these folks are in a great place in their business. According to them, they're happy, they're comfortable, financially successful, stores, roastery. It's kind of the thing that when you're first starting out, you think this is what we want to grow to. And when you get there, when you get to that place, you are so used to hustling to get to that place that the impulse to hustle, to keep going, feels like a integrated part of you. It is a part of you. You have survived and thrived based on this instinct to grow, grow, grow. However, at a certain point, and we've asked this, I think, a week ago or so, when do you say enough is enough? Or at least when do you start to redefine what growth looks like? Is it always expansion? Is it always doing something different? Do you always have to do something that scares you every day, as they say? That's a rule that was made up on YouTube in books. It's a good practice for, I think some of us need to have a little bit of a help over the hump, if you will, and do things that scare us. True. But it does not follow in all cases that you need to keep up the same rate of growth as you did in the beginning. You may have actually gotten to the point where maintaining what you have grown is the highest form of good work that you can invest into. It is a kind of growth in and of itself, similar to trees and plants that don't necessarily grow the same way that they used to when they were first just seeds, and then they became saplings, and then they grew larger and larger. The rate of growth was exponential. But if you make a rule for yourself that your later years have to look like your early years, what you're probably going to end up doing is burning yourself out. And at the same time, while you're pursuing what you feel you should, because of a sense of, I feel guilty that I'm not as active in pursuing more and more, or expanding as much because I see other people doing it and I have this FOMO. What happens is you take what you've built, and those efforts to do what is not necessary actually damage what you've built. You take the energy that should be spent in reinforcing foundations, investing more into the things that are already there to refine them. It could be systems and structures. It could be increase in wages. It could be building opportunities within the existing business to invest further into the people in that business. And it doesn't always have to look like another store. or you just fill in the blank of what maybe your first impulse is, we should do this because it's going to grow our business. If you find yourself in a place where you have the ability to invest into people and to continue to maintain and refine your existing structure of so many cafes, your roastery, etc., you know who you are, lean into what I consider maybe an innovative approach to business these days, that stability. If you're always changing things up and switching things out and trying to keep it fresh, there's something to be said for that, but stability is a virtue. And if you're obsessed with growth, if you hold this part of your business many years later, fairly successful, comfortable, able to invest into your people in contempt because it doesn't look like the same kind of growth trajectory that you had early on, then that's a recipe for disaster, in my opinion. You're not going to feel as happy. In fact, you'll feel guilty for feeling happy. You feel like, ugh, I don't want to be satisfied with where I am because isn't that bad? Like, should I just manufacture a feeling of malcontent out of a sort of like, this is what entrepreneurs do? Well, no, not necessarily. It might be uncomfortable for you to invest into your own happiness and say, what I have right now is enough. And as far as other opportunities in the future, if things actually do come about that drop into your lap, or there's something that really just makes a whole lot of sense, you can make those decisions based on a kind of security. But you have to examine whether or not you are making these decisions out of fear or out of a logical next step of stewardship for what you've created and care for the people that are helping you continue to maintain that creation. If you're making these decisions just out of this nursed sense of a need for growth as a reflex, and this I have to be in the fraternity of entrepreneurs, and in order to do that, I need to adopt that hustle culture, then the good things that you have built will suffer, and you'll suffer right along with it. So I would encourage you to reassess what growth looks like for you and your business, and look to see how maybe you have reached a point where now it's simply a matter of maintaining, which is just as noble a cause as doing the whole next level thing, right? Like, it's just as noble to say, I'm going to care for and care for well the thing that we have created as it is to create something new. It's overrated in some ways to constantly be doing new things. What's underrated is saying, hey, we've got something great going here, and we are going to now apprentice ourselves to further understanding and stewardship and taking the next right step to step into what this thing is showing us our community needs, our people need. And sometimes that might look like doing something new, but it doesn't have to always be. Sometimes you've actually achieved what you set out to achieve, and that's okay. It's kind of weird to have to say that, but if you got a goal for yourself, it's not a bygone conclusion that once you reach that goal, you immediately have to pretend as though you didn't reach it. Dwell within the fruit of what has been grown and maintain what you have well, and cultivate, curate all of that stuff so that in the next season you can harvest again from what you've created. And so my challenge to you is, where is that in your business? Have you thought about growth in that way before? Are you able to say that I'm happy? Or you might be in the place where you do need to make more money, to do more things, to do better for your people and for your own family. And that's fine. My thing is, determine now, if you're not there yet, determine now that once you get there, you're not going to just out of a sense of duty and impulse or guilt for daring to be happy, pretend as though you haven't arrived. Honor the work that you've done and everyone else has done by enjoying what you have. And maybe that's the highest form of growth, is to grow into new understandings of what growing actually means. So that's all I was kind of thinking about. I thought maybe this would be helpful for you. So let me know. As always, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you here next week on another edition of Shift Break. From keys to the shop.